Hey, y'all. Hey, we are so excited because today is the day. Now, we had to do things a little bit differently. I think most of you know that I am actually working in week. And of course, we had technical difficulties. So I had to train Justin as to how to get this done exactly. And then the man himself had a few questions for us behind the scenes, but he is here and he is ready and he's excited. So I'm going to bring the Outlaws on to say hi to you. Hey, y'all.
Hey
Hey.
Hey
everybody, good
everyone, how's
evening.
it going?
Yes, it
We're
is
so
very, very
excited.
exciting. It is very, very exciting. So I don't even think we need to keep with the usual.
Nope.
Without further ado, I think it's time for the man himself. What say you?
I believe it is time to bring him in.
Hey, Chris.
Hey
What's up,
Chris.
everybody?
Hey,
What's
we are
going
so
on?
ready.
Well, the excitement level, that's what's going on. There are a couple of be still my bleeding, beating hearts over here going on.
Well, I'm just as excited as everyone else. So thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, we are, trust me, we are more excited, and the group and all the people out there that are going to watch this, they have been champing at the bit all week. As soon as we started posting the flyers, there was a lot of buzz going on.
Yeah, just shared some of the excitement with me, which made me even more excited. So yeah, it's going to be a good show.
It
They are
is.
actually like fussing at us because we were 5 minutes late. I'm actually being told that look, I was waiting and you guys are 5 minutes late. But they are here and they are on and they are excited.
Good.
So, we can always start with the nitty gritty.
Yeah, let's do it.
When did you first fall in love with fragrance, baby?
I fell in love with fragrance first when I was a kid. My father used to wear back then like all the iconic colognes of the 70s, like I'm going back to like English leather and gray flannel, and like he even wore Old Spice. Like to this day, I still have a bottle of Old Spice. I mean, I love the way that it smells. So I think that that's kind of like when I first fell in love with it, and then as I grew older, then I started to develop my own kind of style and fragrance. Started wearing like the Obsessions and the Jean Paul Gaultiers and the Yves Saint Laurent Cora. So that was the beginning when my father used to wear his cologne, and I used to steal them and try them on. And then I started to build my own identity, and then it just became an obsession. No pun intended.
Well, Justin is always going to be excited about any story that includes gray flannel because he proudly brings out his bottle at
I
every
still have
single
a bottle.
interview.
You have
Hmm?
a
I have
bottle.
absolutely Jeffrey
Oh,
Beam. I still
it
have a bottle.
literally, it was everything though, Justin. It was the bottle, it was the flannel pouch. It was just, I don't know what it did to me as a kid, but at that point, I knew somewhere, somehow, I had to be either a fragrance collector, but back then, fragrance collector was like five or six. Now it's like two, 300. Um, but I just, I was always into fragrance. It was my thing. And then,
I,
but nothing could have prepared me for the possibility of launching my own brand because that was never in the plans for me. Like, you want to laugh, tell God your plans, and something else was in store for me after I met, some people in fragrance. But it just started just from there, just being obsessed, just like everybody else in the group is.
So we got to
you know,
slow down
I
and back
still
up.
think it holds up too. I
Great
will,
flannel.
yeah, absolutely. I will still randomly wear it. It's still a great scent, and I
Yeah.
think that it's there's so much power in scent. I always equate fragrance to a time machine,
Right.
and it's like I'm almost 43, but I still enjoy sitting down and I'll watch like an old episode of Thundercats or GI Joe or something, something that I grew up with, and that it's the nostalgia factor. It brings you back immediately. Your brain just gets flooded with all these memories, and
100%.
scent is very powerful in that way. So
Hmm.
I love to keep older stuff that I wore when I was a teenager.
Hmm.
I have a bottle of original Nautica, and every now and then I'll just spray it because as soon as I smell it, it's like I'm
Oh,
16 and I get
man.
all these memories come flooding back. It's an amazing experience.
It's so
So
true.
I got to ask you,
Yeah.
do you have any of those bottles other than the Old Spice that you actually still wear?
I have a bottle of Great Flannel and I have the Old Spice. I can't find the original Obsession for Men. because they changed the formula. I'm sure they had to change it since it was
Multiple
made in the
times.
80s, and IFRA makes you change. I mean, the governing body that makes you change your recipe or your formulas. Um, but whenever I see them, like I was in a fragrance shop and I saw someone had like a chorus of Yves Saint Laurent, and it just like all of a sudden I just got chills because I was at that time 14, 15 years old, saving my money to try to buy fragrance. And that was the second one that I ever bought. So if I ever see them, I grab them and I smell them and I try them on. But the ones that I really have, because of the sentimental value, because my father's not here with us anymore. So I bought that bottle. It was the last, I was in a random fragrance shop in Croatia. And I was like, is that a bottle of Great Flannel? She said, it's our only one. We can't sell it. I was like, well, you have someone to buy it now. So I bought it and I keep it. I treasure it. It's in my little library. So yeah.
Well,
If you send me a list of any others like that you want, when we go estate sailing, I think that's the key for anybody actually out there that wants the old vintage stuff. There are some vintage sites out there, but go to estatesales.net, find your, person that has died or they had a bad divorce this many years into it, and then you can go get all the fragrances.
And sometimes if there was a really bad divorce, you can get really, really good stuff for like $5.
For like a couple bucks.
Because they don't care. As a matter of fact, or especially if you can get one where it's a divorce and she's got to give him the money from the sale. Those are always the best.
That's interesting. I don't know if any of you had a chance to, or when you went to Perfumology, or any of the guests had a chance to smell my Tokyo Blue, but my Tokyo Blue is actually inspired by Great Flannel. It's a fougere green violet fragrance like Great Flannel. And Tokyo Blue was a song. It was a jazz song my father loved. So I was inspired to make Tokyo Blue from that memory of Great Flannel. So if any of you had a chance to smell Tokyo Blue, that was the inspiration behind that. And if you haven't smelled it, it's an incredible fragrance. And you should get your nose on it.
Well, Justin, you definitely have to go back and now smell the Tokyo Blue. I don't remember.
I don't need to travel 1,000 miles. I'll just call Near and say, "Hey, can you send me a sample of Tokyo?"
Or we can just say, "Hey, Chris, can you send?"
You got some samples. You got some samples that are going to be delivered to you tomorrow. They were supposed to be delivered today, but they'll get there tomorrow. Plus, I got some gifts for some of your members. So.
Thank you for that. We're excited about that. We always appreciate when we get an opportunity to explore brands. So we thank you for giving us that opportunity.
Awesome.
Now, you started by saying that, the saying goes, when you make a plan, God laughs. You didn't tell us what the plan was. This wasn't what it was supposed to be. What was it supposed to be?
I was a biology and psychology major. I thought I was going to be a doctor. Then I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. Then I said, let me take a year off from school. And then that's when I met an agent, and they asked me if I wanted to model for a little bit. I said, sure, I'll try for, maybe a year or two. Ended up meeting Ralph Lauren. That year or two turned into 25 years.
It was that long?
25 years, Ralph Lauren modeling for them, which was an incredible journey. Then towards the end of my career, I met this guy, you might have heard of him, named Killian. And Killian actually introduced me into the world of fragrance. And I said, I don't know how I got here, but I was supposed to be here. And it basically did a full circle back to the first time I smelled that Great Flannel in the bathroom where my father had it in the cabinet. So that whole journey got me to where I am at this point. And then I was just crazy enough to launch a brand in 2018. So that was the journey.
Hey, Chris, one of the first questions that I have actually goes back to that. So Laura wanted to know, do you feel like your work towards your biology and psychology major helped you in creating your fragrances? And if so, how?
Before you answer, I just want you to note how in-depth these questions were. I mean, when I say they was ready, they was ready.
Yeah, okay. That's a good first question. So I see we're off to a good start. Okay. So 100% absolutely my studies helped in what I'm doing now because, biology is the study of living organism, right? We're all living organisms. And then the psychological part is how we behave. So I learned very early, if I was going to make a good, there's thousands of good fragrances on the market. I mean, thousands. So that's not, there's no shortage of that. But there may be a shortage of emotional, psychological, connected fragrances to people, storytelling through fragrance. So I use all the things that I learned about living organisms, how we behave, and took that and basically implemented that what I've learned into perfume creation. Every single fragrance is basically a full experience or fantasy that I have. Nothing is made up. Nothing is, oh, this is something of the moment. It's always something very real, something very connected. And I also feel that each person could find themselves within the fragrance. Like through my fragrance, I tell the other half. Like most people talk about the sun is shining and everything is great and I'm in love. I want to talk about lust. I want to talk about what's taboo. I want to talk about, the kind of playful, like dark side that we all have. That might just be me being a Scorpio. So that's kind of the world.
Hey, I'm a Scorpio too. I'm with it. I'm here
Kind of
for
like
it.
the universe where I exist all the time. But I was like, you know what? I want to, people always talk about seduction and this and all the fragrance. This is like the key words that everyone is using. But I really wanted to create a world where people can feel comfortable, like letting their hair down and kind of being comfortable in that space. So that's kind
Well,
of
apparently you created that space for Justin's mama.
so that was actually a fantastic video because I think someone asked her, I was like, what does it smell like? And she said, it smells like lust. And I said, that was the plan. I wanted this, like if lust had a scent, I wanted this to be it. And if it didn't have a scent, guess what? Now it does now. So that was the whole plan.
Well, from
So for
our meeting, I will never forget that I was busy telling you that I was actually getting, I think Harlem Nights was what I was getting. Harlem
Yep.
Night was what I was buying.
Uh-huh.
And you were like, no, try this because it was a launch. And I'm like, I'm not a chocolate fan.
I know, I remember.
And I was like, I am not a chocolate fan. It's like really a note that like really has not done it for me. You said, no, this is not chocolate because of the something, 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 something.
Mhm.
And honestly, I don't know if I was just looking at you with my own lust or if it was the fragrance, but I don't know. When you sprayed that on me and touched my hand, I was like, okay, I feel it. This is it. But
You
I was
felt
like,
the
I
rush?
feel
You
it.
felt the energy?
Yes, but I will say this. It has really become one of my favorite fragrances.
Yeah.
It's one of my partner's favorite fragrances. Another one of these that we fight over because
Mhm.
he doesn't understand the unisex fragrance. So we
Right.
laugh about this. When they come in and he's, oh, this smells like a man. And then they take it to his side, of the dresser. And then he
Mhm.
thinks it's there. And then he take his inventory when it's not there.
Yeah.
And it's like, where'd my fragrance go? We are now fighting over Savant.
Savant.
Yes, that's my- yes.
Ooh.
So yes, I went to the Nordstrom release. I was on it because
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
everybody said you're just going blind buy it, and I was like, of course, I'm a fan. That's
Yeah.
what fans do.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Savant is doing very, very well. I'm sure we'll get into that later on, but it is beautiful. So I think you see like the style of fragrance, the way I create with Lust, very, rich chocolate. It's not like a chocolate bar. It's like, smooth orris, hazelnut, nutty, oud, a little oud in the back. So yeah, delicious.
Well, I think it's
So
dope
a
that,
little backstory for all of those watching. The reason that Jess and I went up north this last weekend was a family function with my mom's sisters. So obviously she went along with us, and I said she had never been to Philadelphia. She had never been to Perfumology or Metnier. So
Mhm.
I said, why don't we take a day trip over there? Now, my mother has never really been into fragrance. She is, she had a couple of small bottles growing up as a kid, but never was a big fragrance lover.
Mhm.
So, as Jess and I have delved more into this world, obviously, I mean, from pictures, you guys see bottles and samples everywhere. She has become our unofficial tester. Anytime she comes over, she's just rifling the counters. Okay, what's new? What do I have to smell? So we went to Perfumology, and for any of you that have been there, Near has a fantastic shop, a ton of bottles, and his only standing rule is spray, spray, spray. He wants you to smell it. So she was all day going through and smelling stuff. But when she got to that bottle of Lust and sprayed it on the paper, she immediately sprayed it on herself. And I thought I was going to have to pry it out of her hand with a crowbar.
Wow.
She was swooning all day, all afternoon after that about the Lust. So Jess took a video of her and we sent it to Chris because it was hilarious for us watching her just absolutely fall in love with this fragrance.
And she doesn't come on social media or anything like that or whatever,
Right.
but she came over today to hang out, and we were having coffee this morning, and she's like, "Oh, so you guys are gonna talk to Chris tonight?" And we said, "Yeah, but tonight's the big night." And she's like, "You're gonna talk to him about Lust?" And I said, "Yes, we're gonna talk to him about Lust."
Yes.
And she's like, "Okay." And I said, "Don't worry, he hasn't posted your video on social media." And Justin immediately,
I told her, I was like, no, I talked to him earlier, and he said that he's going to use that clip on his Instagram.
and
So
she's like, "Oh my God, you can't do that." And then he goes, "But how cool would that be?" So actually, you now have the unofficial. If you ever wanted to take a clip and just use that, like
I was
she's
like
given-
2 seconds from posting it today.
well, you have permission now.
I didn't know because exactly for the reasons why you're saying it, because maybe she didn't want anyone to know, that.
Well, you do have the permission now. I am all about in one of my day jobs, I have to get permission to utilize photos and everything we do, and so I made sure. I said, "Hey, Chris might actually love that candid thing. He might want to put it out there someday." So
But
you have permission.
was absolutely
But that was for me. That was like
unsolicited. It was genuine in the moment.
It was a perfect scenario where, like you said, your mom smelled a bunch of. I mean, she smells fragrances with you. She's probably smelled hundreds and hundreds of incredible fragrances. But to me, that's the psychological part. It wasn't just the fragrance. It was the name. It was the story, and a lot of people don't think about what does lust feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? And that's kind of the thought process that I go into with each fragrance. So 16 fragrances, 16 stories, 16 psychological connected scenarios. At least that's the plan. That's the hope that people can kind of connect in that way. And maybe her love for it was that, oh, this is what lust feels like. I mean, Justin, I don't want to weird this out, talking about your mom in this way.
Not at all.
No, we're always constantly trying to get her
when
out
I was
there.
in my 20s and when I was lustful and this or that. So it's just a whole thing, my plan, idea around fragrance.
Actually, for her, kind of touching back on what I said before, some fragrances do really trigger memories for her. And honestly, and this will make you laugh if you smelled it. The one that really I saw it do it first, because my mom definitely has a very interesting taste, was Black Afghana.
Oh, okay.
Immediately took her back to when she was 18 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I have seen it happen before, but it's very infrequent. So that was a very visceral moment to see it just naturally happen out of nowhere.
That is especially fragrance right there.
Absolutely.
Exactly that story right there, just to connect you to your past or the present or create new memories as well with fragrance.
Well, and you have some very powerful people in here. I just want to shout out Travalia's in the group, and she's
Travalia, she's here.
She's here, and she says, "Hey,
hi, Travalia.
What's up, Travalia? How's your eye? I hope you're doing better."
She's on the mend. It's been a journey. We were chatting yesterday, but I told her, I said, "Hey, if you can't see, that's okay. If you can hear, go ahead, have your sister put on our YouTube and just hop on and listen." So she came in, she listened. Christina Soul said that she wore your Harlem Nights for a New Year's Eve Gatsby party, and it was perfect.
Oh,
and there's a lot of people here that are just so excited. So we want to keep on running, but I just wanted to shout out as people are putting things out there that you get to kind of see and hear in real time.
Awesome.
But yeah, lots of people here.
She's healing well, and thank you.
Good. That's my girl right there. So,
actually, that's who introduced me to your line.
Yes,
So
she's responsible for introducing many people to my
that
fragrance,
yeah,
which
that's who
I
introduced.
appreciate her for that.
So last anniversary sale, 2 anniversary sales ago,
Hmm.
2 anniversary sales ago, because uh I was never going to make it to Sephora in Harlem to actually go smell them.
Right.
And after, when she was also working on my scent profile and was, now listening to the fragrances I liked, and she was like, "Oh, you in the wrong section." And she was like, "Oh, no, 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 we're not going to do that." And she took me to the flagship Nordstrom. Your fragrances are actually in the men's section. They
Hmm.
are not in with the rest of the perfumes, which is
Right.
weird, but
Right.
they're in the men's section. And she was like, "Here you go, right here." She's like, "You like it deep and you like it dark and you like it sensual. Here you go." And that is when I fell in love with African Rooibos. That was my
Hmm.
first purchase.
Hmm.
And then Cardium, what is that thing called?
Vida Chromium.
There you go. That's that one. So that's what I brought home that day. And
Hmm.
then my next fragrances were the white bottles, Long Kiss Goodnight, and
Lost in Paradise.
Lost in Paradise.
Mhm.
Paradise. And then my next bottle, as you know, I came to get Harlem Night.
And left with lust.
And
Came
yes,
for Harlem and
no,
left with
I
lust.
left with both.
Oh, you left with both.
I left with both.
Okay.
Um, and then it took me forever for some reason to get African Rooibos. I don't know why. Oh, I know, it was sold out forever.
Because it sells out everywhere.
That's
So
what it
African
was. I'm like,
Rooibos,
it took me forever. It was sold out. And so
African
finally,
Rooibos,
Near just held me one.
yeah. African Rooibos is my I'm sure one of the questions is going to be which is my favorite fragrance because
Oh,
that's kind of what
Yeah.
absolutely.
people uh, um, they're most interested in. What is my favorite fragrance? And I always have this cheeky answer like my favorite fragrance is always the next one because I'm like creating fragrances 2 years from now for 2 years from now. So I'm always in the future because the ones that I've created I've lived with and I've created for everyone else and I don't technically have a favorite because they're all my babies. Uh, but African Rooibos is my top selling fragrance. It's become my signature fragrance. It's almost like what Centel 33 is to Le Labo.
Hmm.
That is what African Rooibos is for me. And I didn't plan it that way. I just want to create great fragrances every time I launch. But African Rooibos just stood out to people and it was very unique. The performance on it is just incredible. Um, Most people who've launched tea fragrances would have probably have used either black or green tea or white tea. So I'm not going to say I'm the first, but I think to have the fragrance the way I created it, um, doing it with a red tea was very a unique stance on it, and it just worked. So African Rooibos, the reason why I'm telling that story because it sells out everywhere all the time. I cannot keep it in stock. So I guess I got to produce quadruple the amount that I'm currently doing now in order to keep it in stock. So people
Well,
will
that
stop.
takes us into one of the questions that we also have is like, what is the average time frame from initial concept to bringing into market? And then again, like if you have like this fragrance that you have to restock and can't keep it, like when you need more on the fly because you're sold out,
Right.
like what is the time frame?
Right. So for me, I mean, if I needed to, um, like if the olfactory outlaw said, Chris, we would really love for you to create a fragrance. What's the fastest you can do it? I can get a fragrance to you done, packaged, new fragrance in 6 months. I mean, that's kind of how fast I could do it. But I usually take about a year um, to actually launch because they're strategic launches when I do launch. I like a good Valentine's Day launch. I love launching on Valentine's Day or around Valentine's Day, and I love holidays. Sometimes, so 2 launches a year. So, but sometimes I'll maybe sneak in a summer fragrance during the summer or something like that. But I like to give myself a full year to kind of like live with it, maybe do some mods. I mean, I've mastered the creative part of it, so I could get it done pretty fast. But I force myself to take a year in order to launch it because I have hundreds of ideas for fragrance in my head. If I could launch 30 a year, I would, but that's just not good business. So I take my time, launch 2 a year, great stories around the fragrance, and I force myself to take my time.
I felt like Lust and Savant were close together in my mind.
Well, Lust
Well,
actually
yeah,
launched last year.
yeah,
Savant launched in March of this year. So
but didn't it? I don't know. Well, I guess that was 6 months. Because what was it? It was before Halloween that I met you.
right.
So, and that
Yeah.
was the launch for Lust.
Yeah.
And
Lust
then,
was my holiday launch for last year, and Savant was my spring launch for this year.
yeah, because I brought Savant to Jess
Hmm.
to smell. So that's right. That's about right. Okay. It just seemed like it was really close together. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like it.
Time flies when you're smelling good fragrance. You know,
Hey,
it's like,
you
wait a
know,
minute.
wait. So yeah, when you smelling good and spending all your money on fragrance, so there's that
Hmm.
too. So
Right.
so there's that too. How do
Right.
you decide on your price points? Because
Mm.
that actually becomes a thing. Like one of the things that we had talked about was that your Kingmaker is real oud,
Right.
which is actually kind of unusual
Right.
in fragrance that that we have access to.
Mhm. Right, right. So that's a great question because I was just having this conversation today actually with a friend of mine. He said, "Well, why is Kingmaker 300 versus how much African Rooibos
Mhm.
costs?" And your bestseller is at about $175 price point, and Kingmaker is 300. And I said, it's based off of. So I created my initial price points around what the market called for based on what kind of fragrances I was going to create. So I looked at the time, my benchmark was Byredo when I was launching. And I looked at like what they were doing, the type of fragrances they were launching, the price point, where they were selling their fragrances. So I used that as a price point when I first launched. My fragrances were 160, and of course, fragrances, you have to change the price point based off cost of goods and all that stuff. But I had to I had to kind of reassess my price points based off the cost it cost me to make a fragrance.
Mhm.
So let's say African Rooibos, it costs me, and I hope you don't get too bored with this, but if it costs me $150 a kilo, then you have to kind of like back into what you should be charging it based off the raw material and how good the fragrance is. So I keep my eau de parfums at around the same level price. So that's why I keep them at 175. But my extracts are more expensive. Obviously, extracts more concentrated. So they're usually around 225. So Lust is 225. But Kingmaker is pure raw oud from India. It is the strongest, purest oud that you can get. As a matter of fact, we had to quarantine that oud for 6 months when it came into the U.S. because it was
Oh,
that
wow.
powerful. So that fragrance cost me almost $700 a kilo. So African Rooibos, 150, maybe $200 a kilo. Kingmaker is $700 a kilo. So it is the real deal oud. I do have a oud that is synthetic. I have Oud Galore, which is a fantastic oud. It's a great everyday oud. But Kingmaker is not for the novice. This is for the person who knows fragrance and is like ready to kind of like stepping up a notch and understanding how animalic King
Mhm.
Pure Oud is. So the price point is 300, which at Bergdorf Goodman they want me to raise it to 600, but I'm
Well, I
like,
was gonna say actually, so this was a discussion that I had with someone else who told me there was no way in the world that there was real oud in that at that price point.
that price
And
point.
I'm like, I said, well, look, I don't know. That's what the man told me. I mean,
Right,
I wasn't there. I didn't make
right.
it, but the man did tell me
Yeah,
that it is
yeah,
actual pure oud,
pure oud.
and
Yeah.
they didn't believe me.
Hmm. I
Like,
mean,
try to break me down.
if anyone in the chat has smelled it, they will know that it is the real deal oud.
Oh,
And
it's the real
it,
deal.
the like my whole kind of concept, like the concept around my brand is kind of like accessible elegance, right? So, you know, could I charge 600, 800, $1,000 for it? Sure. And maybe at one point I will. But to me, $300 for 50 ml of Kingmaker was a perfect price point, and it's working. And that's kind of like my style, the way I launch and the way I develop, like the costs of what I'm making. So
So read between the lines, Joe.
yeah,
Go get it now while you can afford it. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. just,
And
just
by the
saying.
way, I had layered Lust and Kingmaker the other day, and it was something special. So if anyone has Lust and Kingmaker, you should layer it to see.
I have Lust in Kingmaker.
You should layer
Well,
that.
technically he has Kingmaker, but I'm about to have it.
Yeah,
I'll report back.
that layer
I have a
is
feeling we're
incredible.
about to see a lot of Sen of the Days, Lust and Kingmaker.
Lust and Kingmaker. They both
And
have
we're gonna see
movies.
some baby announcements, maybe like 9, 10.
Like, Chris, guess what? We're having a baby. Thanks a lot. I wore Kingmaker and Lust.
Well, Niles and Near say hello,
What's up, Nia?
and Niles
Oh.
Ramadan from City Rhythm.
Oh, I know what's going on.
Hey,
And
Niles, in here.
going to just go through some of the comments really quick. And
Dwayne
kinda
Price
round-
is also here. He's mad that you weren't calling him back, but he's here tonight.
Oh yes. Oh, we heard all about that. And specifically, he wants to know for Lost in Paradise,
Yeah.
is he going something? I forgot what it was.
Oh, geez, you had
Something
one
about.
show.
I'm sorry, I forgot what it was. I will go look.
Okay.
Specifically, he just because he said he wanted to know whether or not he was going to be able to get up on it. Specifically, that's how he said it.
Get up
For
on.
the holidays, and if not, he would see you at Scent Explorer because he wasn't able to get it together that
Mhm.
time. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I
wait a
won't
minute, here
be.
you go.
I
So
won't
you
be
were told that
presenting
you can
at
just
Senate
make,
Floor, but I
sorry.
will be there.
So
I'll be
you
there.
just said that you can just make you a hybrid, like Niles, and you can just of the Lust and Kingmaker, and you can just call it Baby Maker.
Baby.
There you go. So you can just
Thank you,
No.
That's
Stacey.
good.
so
That's
you can
good.
just call it Baby Maker. Everybody's
good.
saying hi to you. But what they Niles said he's never met you. I did not know that. He hopes to meet you one day.
Okay. Maybe a Senate Floor if he comes.
He's
He-
gonna be
he
there.
will be there.
He's
Yes,
actually
he's-
gonna be presenting, so
Oh,
Yes.
he'll be there.
So we've got a lot of people letting us know our favorites, and actually, that your scent of the day, the dance is very popular amongst the men today. Talking to Jess.
Yeah, Dan Savage.
Dance
Yeah.
Sauvage. Yes.
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 So
This one,
I actually did a
Oh, that's the original bottle. Oh shit, that's
the
amazing.
original bottle.
I did we have little challenges sometimes in these groups, and I forget when it was, sometime in June, one of our members wanted to take us to the rodeo, and they asked us to come up with a rodeo combination. And so I actually picked up Dan Savage and I put it with Ellis in Brooklyn's Fawn of all
Ooh.
places, and and we named it like Whiskey Bloom, and it was like dust and leather and smoke, but
Mhm.
rose, and it was like perfect for sand and sun and skin and just sweat. And so it was like the most fantastic thing. So when they asked me what I was going to wear today, I'm like, I gotta wear my Whiskey
Dan
Bloom. I
Savage.
gotta wear.
That's amazing. I got a quick funny story about Dan Savage, if I may.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Killian, who's my mentor, I fell in love with his fragrance. His fragrance is kind of what was my introduction into niche, because that was my first niche fragrance brand that I smelled. So the first 3 fragrances I launched were Harlem Nights, Renaissance, and Dan Savage, all in the Renaissance collection. My tribute to the Harlem Renaissance, because that's where I live. That's where the idea of the fragrance came from. So I take Killian to dinner in Harlem. He's like, I've never been to Harlem. Let's go to dinner in Harlem. So I take him to this fancy restaurant in Harlem. And I decide to wear Dan Savage that night. And he smelled me and he was like, what is that? And I was like, that's one of my fragrances. Because at this point, he had not smelled my fragrances. So that was going to be the night that I introduced him to them. And I was nervous. I was sweating. I was like, is he going to like them or whatever? And he was like, that smells like Straight to Heaven. I was like, no, it doesn't. That does not smell like Straight to Heaven. Of course, I was inspired by his fragrances, but I told him, I said, it is not Straight to Heaven. So he thought it was very resembling of Straight to Heaven. I guess because of the booziness, the cedar. There's like an overdose of cedar wood in Dan Savage, and I guess there's some in Straight to Heaven. So I kind of had to. We didn't get off to a good start when I was showing him my fragrances because he thought that smelled too much like Straight to Heaven. But It was
Well,
fine.
jumping in on the Killian note, actually, because that apparently has been very impressive. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 people in here who did not know that he's your mentor. They
Yes.
actually, like, literally, like, well, he must know what he's doing. He's met Killian. So
Mhm.
let's talk about not meeting Killian, but him actually being your mentor.
Yes. He was very, very integral. So what happened was during the latter years of my modeling career, I met Killian through, I think, a publicist of his. I was actually wearing Straight to Heaven one night, and this woman came up to me in Miami and said, "Oh, well, you smell really good. What are you wearing?" I said, "Well, I'm wearing Straight to Heaven." And she's like, "Oh, wow, I work for Killian." And I said, "I would love to meet him. I would really love to meet him." And we met in New York, and we just hit it off. And I told him how much I was into fragrance. So, he took me under his wing and kind of taught me or showed me how he created in his whole process. We went on TV together and we talked about fragrance and everything. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And we worked on some fragrances together. But then, he had other plans business wise. He was acquired, Estee Lauder and all that stuff. So I said, man, I'm hooked. I'm hooked on this whole creative part. Like, what do I do now? And I said, I think I have to create my own fragrances because at the time it was just going to be me and him doing some stuff. And I had no clue on how to get started. No clue. Um, I asked for his blessing. He gave me his blessing. And then I just figured it out. I just went down to the south of France. I went to Mougins. I went to Grasse. I went to Paris and just kind of knocked on every single door. Anyone that would answer did. And that was the whole process and how I started from being a mentee of Killian's and to launch my own brand.
How long of a period was that?
From the time that I met Killian up to the time that I launched was, I want to say, 4 years, 4 to 5 years.
That's an amazingly quick time frame, actually.
Yeah. It was a quick. It was it was like a crash course in fragrance, and I literally moved to France because I had to immerse myself into the culture of fragrance. Um, I knew that, and we had some real. Him and I remember we sat down when he told me that he was being acquired by Estee Lauder and that we couldn't continue our project, which was fine. I understand business. I understand how that works. But he actually sat me down and said, Chris, um, if you're going to launch, you're going to have to really do it well. And you're going to have to know exactly what you're doing because, um, perfume is French and mainly white. There's no one that looks like you in perfume. So, Chris, you're going to have to know your shit, learn everything you can about fragrance. And when you launch, you need to bring it because they're going to look for every single reason to find that you don't belong here in fragrance. And those were some honest, really, really honest words that I needed to hear. It wasn't what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear.
No,
And
that's a real mentor.
that's a real
That's a
mentor.
real mentor.
And he said, you're going to have to bring it. And that advice was exactly what I needed. And I said, let's get to work. And that's when it started.
Well,
Well,
I think we all believe that you've killed it thus far.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank
yeah, just a fantastic line so far. You said you have so many more ideas.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you did a fantastic job
Thank you. I appreciate that.
in such a short period of time. What you've accomplished even now, and
Right.
it's going to be even better.
Oh yeah,
years ahead.
it get better. My creative process gets better, and that's what keeps. That's the fun part, the creative part. Like, okay, what can I do next? Like, what can I pull out my magic hat that will be, you know, uh, I don't know, if better is the word, but different or more unique. Like so when I launched Savant, I said I want to create something that smells like a Manhattan. I was inspired by sitting at the Polo Bar in New York, and I was like, I don't want to put it. It's a cherry, and I don't want to put it in a red bottle. I want to put it in a blue bottle. I want to do something different, and it's working. So, from having Killian as a mentor, and also having like incredible. I mean, my I don't want to say fan base, but my customers. They are so loyal, and they love the fragrances, and they can't wait until the next one, and that gives me the energy to get up every morning at 4 o'clock, go to bed every night at midnight, and just work my ass off to create more incredible fragrances. So that's what keeps me going.
So I didn't mean to jump in here. So there's a
That's
few things we got to say. So first of all, Dwayne wants to know if we can tour your brownstone when we're in New York.
That's what it
Authentic
was.
Tour.
I'm like,
Of course.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna put that on the tour. We're gonna have an itinerary.
Okay.
That's on it. Number
Mhm.
two, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Demetria Roby wanted to know, she wanted to congratulate you on all of your accomplishments, but she wanted to know how and what does Black excellence smell like? That was her question.
What does Black excellence smells like? It smells like decadence. It smells like opulence, courage. Um, it's deep. It's aromatic. It's what each individual feels. Um, there was like this whole, like when I was launching, there was this whole movement about Black excellence. Excuse me, Black excellence, and I was like, I want to be, I want to contribute to that, and that, kind of carved my niche into the way that I created. But I don't think that it's any one thing. I think that it's many things, many different ideas, many different perspectives, many different scents. Um, but I hope that I am contributing to that, and I hope that I am part of that, making people feel like they are part of the Black excellence.
well, this is actually where I wanted to jump in because it dovetails to actually the question that I had. And it is this: knowing that you are, Killian just told you, there's no one like you. That's a space that you were coming into.
Mm-hmm.
Being kind of the forefather of fragrance in the Black community, do
Mm-hmm.
you feel in any way that it actually hinders your potential because you feel like you can't make a misstep for those people coming behind you?
Well, it's funny because I think when it's all said and done, when the story's been written, um, the importance of my brand uh, being the first Black owned brand at every single retailer
Mhm.
in the world, um, whether you're talking about Bergdorf Goodman or Harvey Nichols or Selfridges or Nordstrom. And now look, we have multiple Black owned brands in these spaces. Um, and I think I was supposed to be in that kind of like I like to say like with the machete, like chopping down the weeds, going through the forest, because I knew that I was going to do something special. If I hadn't, then maybe things would have turned out different. But I had to be able to say whether it's a Black owned brand or Hispanic owned brand or whatever it is, you just have to make a great product. And I think every good product has a great story. So my fragrances lead with the stories. And of course, I'm in front of my fragrances, proudly in front of them. But in order for me to sit on a shelf at Bergdorf Goodman next to MFK or Killian or Creed, I knew that I needed to make very special fragrances. And, I think to this point, I've accomplished that. So I don't look at it as a hindrance. I looked at it as a part of like something that was unique, a unique perspective, a unique part of storytelling. I remember when I launched my first collection with Harlem Nights and Dan Sauvage and Renaissance. I launched them in Paris, and there's a very big connection between Paris and Harlem. I mean, it goes really deep back to the 1920s when Josephine Baker,
Josephine Baker, baby.
yes, which inspired my dance Sauvage because that's what they called her dance when she was in Paris, when she went to Paris from Harlem. And the whole perfume world celebrated it. There was like no one ever thought to tell this story. No one ever thought to tell the story of the Harlem Renaissance through fragrance, which they adored. So that was kind of like an unspoken introduction into the perfume world where they were like, wow, thank you for bringing this perspective. Of course, every fragrance that I launch isn't about Harlem, but every fragrance that I launch is born there because that's where I live. So, so yeah, to answer your question, there's challenges. I'm sure there's challenges for everyone, no matter what the color of their skin is. So I just wanted to make sure that I was like bringing it and making incredible fragrances and let the fragrances speak for themselves.
I mean,
Well,
all of that is fabulous, and we appreciate you for it.
Thank you.
one of the comments here, I'm just going to read it as is so I don't mess it up. And it just says, by S.A. Clark, you are the epitome of resilience. Your journey is a testament to what our ancestors were an example of and hoped for. Please, please know how proud the culture is to see you living our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Wow. That was, thank you for that. And that's what it's all about. That's the whole purpose, and thank you. That was very powerful. Thank you.
Whew.
That's
Well,
you know,
to that end, she had a couple other questions, and I'm just going to ask them because we're there. So, one of her questions was, do you have a specific memory of the moment that you realized that you were actually on the right path? And if you're willing to share that, would you?
I remember. So I officially launched my fragrances March of 2018. So what does that make us? A little bit about 8 years, right?
Mhm.
So I remember I did like a really soft launch a little bit before that on my website. And I was like, I wonder if anybody's even going to buy a fragrance ever. They're like, maybe not. Maybe no one would ever buy it. And I remember the first, when you have like a Shopify app when you sell on your website.
Yeah.
I remember the first chime when it went on my phone, and I was like, "Holy shit! Someone bought one of my fragrances."
what was it? Which one was it?
I think it was only 3 at the time, so it was either Harlem Nights or Matcha Renaissance.
You were supposed to like take that a printout of that and
Like
like
the dollar
name it
bills on
whatever
the
that
wall.
order.
Yeah, but you know what? I have it here, and I have it here, and I said, someone believed in me. Someone, and it only takes one.
It was me. I'm sorry.
It was probably you. It was either you or my mother. I don't know. Someone believed enough to take a chance and buy one of my fragrances. And that was the one moment that I knew that I was on the right path. And since then, now I have thousands of customers and in different countries. But I stay humble through the process. And I remember that moment because that was like, okay, I think I'm doing something right. I think I am. So yeah, I'll never forget that moment.
And now, if you had that Shopify store, you'd have to keep your phone on silent all the
Now
time.
I'll keep it on silent, which is a good thing.
Audra Clark wanted to know, well, first she wanted to congratulate you on everything, but she also wanted to know if there's a possibility that you can revisit some of the earlier fragrances from the project that you did with Kilian, if there's any way to bring any of that back now after he was acquired, and is that anything that we could see in the future?
I wish we could. And a lot of people have asked, for us to like sit down and like have a conversation about like where niche fragrance started and kind of like where it's going. Because at the time when he launched, like back in like 2010, there were only like a handful of brands. Like you may have had Frederic Malle, MFK, Kilian, Le Labo, and I'm talking about a handful of niche brands. And now there are hundreds.
Yeah, so many.
So, I would love to, collaborate with him. We work with some of the same perfumers. There's a perfumer, her name is Sidonie Lancesser, and she's from Robote, and she made my African Rubos and my Vita Chromium. And she made all his original ones, like Straight to Heaven, Vodka on the Rocks, all those like iconic ones that he made. So it would be nice to kind of work with her and create something together, but we shall see. I mean, we meet up every time I go to Paris, and when he comes to New York, and we talk about some crazy ideas. But whether or not we are able to create something together is maybe in our horizon, but we'll see.
How has that relationship for you changed, going from a student teacher to now your colleagues? I mean,
Mhm.
has he reached out to you and leaned on you like you used to on him?
Oh no,
Um,
hell no. Killing and no. Listen, we are colleagues now, but to him, he's still the mentor, and as you should be. I would not be here if it was not for him. There's no way I could have figured out the whole maze of fragrance without him. He was the one who actually, my first launch was at Bergdorf Goodman. He was the one who made the call to Bergdorf to say, you got to smell this kid's fragrances. So no matter if I surpass him or we stay even when it comes to business, which, to me, he is still that, he's my mentor and like to me, like one of the best to ever do it in fragrance. So even if we do, I will still stay humbled and still look at him as my mentor.
So with that being said, this is twofold. We have a member, Jalila. One of her first questions was, do you have any intern opportunities? Like, are you accepting interns? And then some of the other people, one of the questions is like, so yes, you're giving back to the community, you're creating these fragrances, but are you now mentoring somebody else?
Oh
Do
yeah.
you have do you have somebody that you are actually able to pour into, or do you
Yes.
have a group of people that you're able to pour into?
So a good friend of mine, Samira from House of Era, who I love very much,
Oh yeah.
she came to one of my master classes that I had in Atlanta, and at the time I'd seen her fragrances, but I didn't know what she looked like. And she was asking all these incredible, interesting questions about the fragrances and the creative process. And then afterwards, she came up to me and she says, "Well, I have my own brand," and she showed it to me. I was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this. It's all over the social media." And she said, "Well, Chris, I would love to be introduced to a fragrance house because right now she's creating the fragrances herself. She's working with a small creative house in the Middle East. So actually, this morning, we had a call with the first house that I created the fragrances with in Mougins next to Grasse in France. And now she's going to be working with a big fragrance house to make her fragrances. So that's what it's all about, like her needing to like lean on me for whatever I've learned about fragrance. And then she's going to grow and someone's going to need her or lean on her. So, I think it's all about kind of like bringing people with us forward. There's enough space, there's enough room for all of us to live and succeed and eat. So yes, I do. That is very important to me to make sure that I'm giving back and I'm actually helping others because at one point I needed help. I just ended up having one of the greatest mentors that can ever be had in fragrance. But, I had to do my part and make sure I give back to other people.
And maybe in 20 years, somebody's going to say the same thing about you, the exact same thing. I
Right.
had one of the greatest mentors in perfumery.
Right, right. So just to see her face today on the call, and she was just so excited, and that's kind of like what made my day today. So we need more of
She
that.
is a bundle of energy. We got
She
to see
is.
her in
Oh, it's
December. Like
interesting.
she's so expressive and she is a good storyteller. She
She
had
is.
me in with her stories. Like I
Yeah.
was crying on a couple of them,
Yeah.
I was smelling. I think I was by that point, my nose was tired that day. But her
Yeah.
stories, I couldn't
I
leave her
know.
table.
I know.
She had me.
And there's a lot of people. I get messages in my DMs or messages email um, for a lot of people who want to create fragrance. Like, I want to launch a fragrance brand. Where do I get started? I want to do this. How do I get started? And I say, my biggest advice to people is to just start, no matter where you are, no matter what you do. If you're going to mix them in your kitchen, or if you want to try to, figure out how to get someone else to create the fragrances, like just like start, because you have to figure that part out. Like Killing was never going to tell me, which I appreciate. He was never going to tell me how to actually get started. He was just going to support me once I figured it out, because figuring it out is the part that you have to do in order to move forward. So if someone calls me and says, or reaches out to me and says, I have no clue where to start, where do I get started? My answer is, I don't know. I don't know what your financial means are. I don't know what kind of fragrances you want to create. So that's why with Samira, she had done the work. She had gone in and figured out, sourced the bottles, sourced labels, made a fragrance. So I said, okay, you have done the work. Now I'm going to help propel you forward so you could be great. So my advice to those who want to start a fragrance brand, first of all, rethink it because it's crazy. You got to be a little crazy. I am a little crazy. And just start. Get started no matter where you are. Don't try to do something perfect. Don't try to make something look like mine or look like Killian's or look like MFK's. Have your own perspective, your own story, your own position, and then everything will kind of work itself out at that point. People will then come to help you because they see something special.
Well, that becomes, I think, a problem with in life. So that's excellent advice. Don't get analysis paralysis, because a lot of times we just, so focused on doing it perfectly, we don't do anything.
Right. And that's 100%. That's the point. Like, if you wait because you want to do it perfectly, you're never going to do it. Just do it. Just start because, you know, if you can hold up that bottle again, Justin, the original Dan Sauvage, that was my original bottle. That's what I could figure out at the time. But then I started to say to myself, let's make it more elegant. Let's make it more luxurious. So if I would have waited to do my bottles now, I would have never got started. So I started where I could start and then elevated the brand along the way. And that's how we all should do whatever we're doing, whether it's fragrance or, whatever field that we're in. Just start and then figure out along the way and then improve on it.
You said you met her doing a master class in Atlanta. Did you do it at Indie House? Because I know they do teaching there.
I've done master classes there, which are super fun, but this particular one was at the Nordstrom, and I think it was Phipps Plaza at Nordstrom in Atlanta.
Yeah, if you ever have another one lined up in Atlanta, we'll definitely drive up and
I was just at Neiman Marcus in Atlanta a few weeks ago, and we did.
Yeah, we saw a couple of members who met you there.
Yes. So Atlanta, I'm telling you, Atlanta. I don't know if anyone in the group is from Atlanta, but they show.
I lived there for a bit.
Atlanta, y'all.
There's something there.
They figure out where I'm at, and they are there, and they are supporting and buying fragrances like crazy. So shout out to Atlanta, real quick. Yeah.
Well, they wanted to know your favorite note in fragrance and that you want to work with.
A note that I would love to work with and my favorite notes. I would have to say, I guess the note that keeps coming around in all of my fragrances is orris. I don't know. I think there is something that draws me to the smoothness of that floral note and what it does to fragrance. It's in Lust. It's everywhere. It's in Sweet Taboo. Orris is always that note that shows up. My favorite kind of category of notes of fragrance is like boozy. I love boozy fragrances. I love a good whiskey note. I love a good cognac note. I have rum in fragrances. I have a new fragrance coming out that has bourbon and rum in it. So that's kind of like my favorite, that note that keeps showing up. So I guess that's the one I'm drawn to the most is orris. And the note that I would love to kind of work with is gardenia. I would love to make like a beautiful, bold
Make it a top note. Don't make it a top note so I can actually wear it and not fall out dead.
Yeah, but you said you didn't like chocolate either, and you bought that too. So I think
those are.
No, she's allergic. That's why she's saying.
Oh, really? Oh,
they can't be at the top.
That's something different.
They can't be at the top.
Yeah, I love the gardenia note. I think there's something very like jasmine, gardenia. I've used jasmine before, but I love the bold white floral notes. It's an
unmistakable note too.
Yes. And if I'm gonna do like a floral, it's gonna be like Lost in Paradise is like ylang ylang, um, you know, white floral, but it's still got some, saltiness to it. It still has, some body to it. So if I'm gonna do a floral, it's gonna be like a bold, very kind of interesting floral. So look out for
Well,
me
you
doing
have
something really interesting in
you
gardenia.
have quite a few people in here that are willing to sign on as your like smelling testers in the think tank and as we're doing
Okay.
the creative process. And we would love to do like an aroma fair collab where we do like, hey, we got a lot of floral people here. We'll do it with you.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
they're
Let's
all
do it.
ready.
Except
Everybody's
for
ready.
Danielle.
Except for
Absolutely.
Danielle.
Jalila is very excited because that was actually her first question when she was smelling your fragrances because I introduced them to her.
Okay.
And she's like, "But are there any like florals?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, thank God." But she's,
Oh,
but she's like,
the girls
she
are
goes,
sounding off in the chat. I'm telling you right now, all the girls. It's like, do. They're all like, we ready, we here, we're going. They're all here.
So has anyone in the chat, have they smelled Lost in Paradise? So Lost in Paradise, Long Kiss Goodnight, that's in the same collection. Those are like my florals. Those are as floral as I get to this point. But also Vita Carmine is a floral. It's a spicy rose. So
So I tried to explain that, but they wasn't having it. Okay, they really did. So, and interestingly, and in this case,
right.
Jalila, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me telling you, she's a scientist. So
Okay.
I think there's some of that with the analysis of the fragrances,
Hmm.
and she's new to niche. So that concept, what she said is, but these are for men, and so we had to talk. No, they're not. they're not for men. These really are unisex. But in
Yeah.
her mind, the white florals say femininity. So
Right.
she wants some of that. That's what she's looking for.
Right.
And I thought that was really, really interesting.
Hmm.
However, we've
However,
not really discussed all of those collections. We've talked about the first collection. We haven't
right.
talked about the themes of the other two.
Right. So there is the Renaissance collection. We have the Anima collection, which are the white bottles, which are the fresh florals. More, I guess, I wouldn't say summer because I appreciate wearing fresh and light fragrances in the winter as well.
I'd say
There's
they're
no rules.
softer,
Yes, softer. And then we have the Rooibos collection, which are more kind of like
robust.
robust. They are more passionate. This is Lust. This is African Rooibos. This is Vita Chromium. And then my new fragrance that's coming out in a month, actually. Wow. Time goes by so
Woo!
fast. So look out for that. It's my version of an apple. That's all I can give you at this point, but it's going to be a beautiful apple fragrance that I'm launching in about a month. And then we have the Dark Romance collection. So that's going to get more seductive. That has like Sweet Taboo, that has like Oud Galore, that has Tokyo Blue and Autumn Rhythm in it. Um, and then my blue bottles aren't really part of a collection, but um, they are my more royal kind of fragrances, like Kingmaker and like Savant. Those are the fragrances that are in my blue collection and my sapphire collection. So, yeah.
So people love the fact that it's an apple and time for fall.
Time for
Uh,
fall. A
so
nice. Yes, it's gonna
so
be.
is this going to be another one where it's a launch at a certain store and then that's the
Yes,
only place you can get it? Is that going to okay?
it's gonna be a Sephora exclusive.
Okay.
Um, Savant was a Nordstrom exclusive, um, but in the fall I'm gonna start introducing it into my other retail partners, especially to my boutiques. I love my boutique, like Perfumology.
Well, I was
Uh,
going to say, when are we going to get a Perfumology exclusive?
yeah, I mean, you, well, so when you do exclusives, it has to be like about volume, so because if you're going to give them to one retailer, that's why a lot of people don't do exclusives a lot. But I would love to do like partnerships with my boutiques. I think boutiques are the heartbeat of fragrance. Like they are the most important. They're the fastest touch point to people. People feel very comfortable going into boutiques. Some are very intimidated to go in like big department stores where it's all busy and crazy. But if you walk into like a perfumology, Nir will give you his attention. He'll walk you through all the fragrances. You feel more comfortable, more at ease. So I really appreciate my boutique partners for sure.
So Audra wants you to know that she loves that you are exploring all the booze. But she said, since you're doing that, how about some, plum and cognac? Because, she said there's a big hole in the market left by Plum Japonais.
So actually, Dan Sauvage has plum and cognac in it.
I was just about to say,
I'm
right
aware
here.
of that. So that's why I was.
It's right here.
Yes. So you should definitely try that. You would think from the cedar that it would be slightly more masculine, but in my world, there are no rules. I don't launch fragrance for men or women. Everyone is everyone when I launch. So I think she should try to get her nose on Dan Sauvage. I think she would love that one.
Well, now they're excited because Sephora, like Nordstrom, is somewhere everybody can get to. But even Nordstrom is still more exclusive. Sephora, there's one in every mall.
Right.
I'm sure it won't be in every mall, though, because sadly, the niche fragrances aren't in every store.
Right.
But you have a better chance of getting your nose on it. And you can
Right.
always order online.
Right. Absolutely.
So Stacy said it's not just that for her. She wants the boutique shop because she feels like the boutique salespeople and owner actually know something about the fragrance. She feels
Yes.
that the shopping in the department stores that they're more like automatons, which is this is the script that I'm given and this is what I'm going to stick to, and
Yeah.
they couldn't pick a note out of off of a guitar.
Yeah. I mean, it's more intimate when you go into the boutiques. And you get to have one-on-one with people and they actually take their time with you. There's a lot of people that go into niche boutiques and they don't have a clue on where to start. So that's the first place that I advise people to go because you can have more attention. Some people don't even know what they like. So sometimes I ask people, my first question is, tell me what you don't like. If we can start from where you don't like, then I can start showing you things. There's a lot of times people, they have an idea of what something should smell like, but once you let them smell it, it opens up a whole new world for them. Like if someone will say to me, well, I don't like this particular note. I don't like chocolate in this fragrance. All right, well, smell this. It's like, oh, that's nice. Well, but guess what? There's chocolate in the fragrance. So whatever your mind tells you that you won't like, I give that to them to try. And sometimes, they just don't like it, and that's fine. I mean, if someone doesn't like one of my fragrances, I never take offense to it because that means that there is some personal connection to them that is bringing them to a place where they don't want to go. Like it reminds them of something and a bad memory or a place that just is not, they don't want to revisit. And on the flip side, if someone really loves a fragrance, it probably reminds them of something happy or a good moment in their life. So I never get offended when someone doesn't like one of my fragrances because, it's very personal for everyone. But yeah, I like showing people what they say they don't like and then I like to say, well, the thing that you said you don't like is in this fragrance. So you should open your mind to kind of be open to trying new things.
As we told you, everyone has been really, really excited about this interview. So when we asked for questions, they dug deep. And this next one is going to take you back. So This question says, in a 2015 interview for Fortune magazine. I know. Stay with me. It said your most powerful. Yeah. So your most powerful accessory was being invisible. What were you wearing, if you can even remember, 10 years ago in 2015 at the time of that interview to make you say that?
So the question for me was, my answer was my biggest accessory is invisible, or that's what I think fragrance is, an invisible accessory.
The way this reads is, and I didn't pull up the interview, so I don't know, but the way it reads is you said your most powerful accessory is invisibility or being invisible.
Excuse me.
So I think what I probably said was my most powerful accessory is an invisible accessory, which is fragrance, because I think
Okay.
fragrance is the invisible accessory.
Okay,
I've
got it.
always been into, you know, even though I was in fashion, I was never a big fashion guy. I was always into the accessories, like fragrance, glasses, shoes. So my favorite accessory of all those is fragrance, because that was the thing that I wore that made me feel, elegant and luxurious. So that's probably what I meant in the article. Wow, that
Okay,
was
well,
fortunate. Yeah.
going off that, in this, I believe it's the same article.
Uh-huh.
You were quoted, or it was said, again, I don't have the article. I'm gonna have to dig it up and put it in the chat for people
Okay.
to read later. But the same person, it was Laura. She said, you said that every man should have a great leather jacket.
Oh
So,
yeah.
of all your fragrances, which do you feel pairs the best with that staple leather jacket that every man should have in their closet?
I got the
Who asked that question? Because that's fabulous.
that is
Laura
fabulous.
Merritt.
Yes. And again, every man should have a black leather jacket, a black tuxedo jacket, as far as like the jackets are concerned. But as far as like the leather, I have a fragrance called Autumn Rhythm. It was inspired by a painting, actually, from a painter named Jackson Pollock, who made a painting called Autumn Rhythm. And it's a very spicy green leather fragrance, and it would be an incredible autumn fragrance because it is leather. I'm actually working on a new leather as well. That's for early 26. But I love the leather note. I love, love, love leather notes. Yeah, and this particular fragrance, Autumn Rhythm, is nice and spicy and leathery. So that is the one that someone who wears a leather jacket will wear.
How did I miss this
Okay.
one? Is it in Perfect
No,
Love?
it,
I don't know. I don't know if Autumn
Uh,
Rhythm is there.
I'm gonna have to look.
I don't know, because
Yeah.
I thought I smelled the whole collection. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? I
Yeah.
don't know this.
But
I'm
you'll
gonna
you'll
look.
you'll it's part of the samples that I sent over to you guys. So
Okay.
you'll get it tomorrow.
Sweet.
Well,
Yes.
don't worry.
Near, if you're still
Heather
watching,
says,
do you
she
have
got to be
Autumn Rhythm?
outdone.
Do you have Autumn Rhythm near? No?
I'm looking at my photos because I took one to make sure that I knew everything that was going on. So,
Well, they're laughing,
well,
and they said that they have to now go and check Chat GPT and the encyclopedia to find old interviews of you, because clearly these are SAT questions that are being asked.
That's fantastic. The fact that we found that one from Fortune Magazine 2015. This is before fragrance. This was
that's before.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
love
before
that.
you launched your brand. So,
I love that.
Marie.
What were you wearing at that time? Because you said that.
Probably Killian.
Right.
Probably Killian at that time. But the first actual niche fragrance that I bought was Frederic Mall's Musk Ravageur. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember.
I love it.
It's a
Oh yeah, we all
masterpiece.
have it. We all have it.
So actually, I didn't even really buy it. A friend of mine had it, and he was like, I was like, well, what is this? It just blew my mind when I smelled this fragrance. Like, I never heard of this person. I never smelled this fragrance before. And he was like, I don't know. I just got it at Bergdorf Goodman. And, he said, my girlfriend doesn't like it on me, so you should take it. So I took it. I started wearing it. And then we all hung out together. And his girlfriend came up to me and was like, oh my God, Chris, you smell so good. I was like, I'm going to go that way.
You didn't
'cause I
like
don't
him. That's what it
nothing
was.
to do with it. So the fact that she didn't like it on him and loved it on me just already taught me a lesson about perfume. It's different with everyone's body chemistry.
Body chemistry.
Yeah.
Important.
Just so you know, Chris,
Oh.
right now, Frederic Mall's phone is going off because his Shopify store is pinging since you just said that.
Musk Ravageur. It is the most incredible musk fragrance. And that is the first fragrance that drew me to the niche market. And then the rest is
Wow.
history, as they say.
So Laura Merritt said, you don't have to Chat GPT or Google it. She followed your entire modeling career.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And she's going to share the article, so she's going to do me a solid, and I don't have to go find it.
Yes. I guess, I hope I said some interesting, cool things in the article, but wow, that's a long time ago. So I'm going to have to go back and check it out too.
Well, actually, they said that what you need to do is go check on your friend because clearly you ended his confidence forever when his girlfriend decided you smelled delicious and he didn't smell good on him.
Yeah.
So
He
what one of
literally
us?
gave me like a full bottle of it, which is crazy.
And
I
every
wish
time,
one of
every
my
time you
friends
knew you were
would
going
give
to see her,
me.
you should spray it too. That's what you should have done. Let me stop.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh,
So
Christina
we have a
Sullivan was
new.
the modeling too. I didn't know
Yeah.
you guys were modeling fans. Okay, now.
Yeah, I was, I was 25 years in the
No,
business,
no,
and
not you. Them.
oh, she was. Oh, they're in it.
Them.
There,
Oh,
you got a lot
okay.
of your modeling fans still in here. So they watched you when you
Okay.
were modeling, and then they, followed you into your
They're
career.
very
Yeah.
nice people, not dangerous.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I know. I'm sure they're very sweet people.
I have a question while we're on
Yeah.
that topic, and I'm sure you get asked it all the time, but I feel like
Mhm.
it's probably the most important question you're going to be asked.
Yeah.
In 25 years of modeling, were you
Yeah.
ever able to work with the legendary Derek Zoolander?
Uh, no.
Oh,
Is that actually a person? I thought that was a
No,
character.
no.
it
That's why I was like,
is.
really there. I mean, really, just no.
No, no.
But
But I gotta
maybe there
tell
was a
you,
model who was
I
like
met a
Zoolander.
lot of people in the industry that was like that. So when I watched the movie, I was cracking up because that I met a lot of people who were Derek Zoolander
See, there
ish.
you go. And so that's what I think. Like, did you? Because it's a caricature, probably a compilation of a whole bunch of people who were
Oh
in
my
like the
god,
fashion industry.
I knew a lot of people like that. So
Were
yeah.
you one of them?
No, I was cool, calm, collected. I was chill. I wasn't walking around with my lips puckered up and bouncing all around New York City. That's for sure.
Is there any symmetry between, prepping for like a fashion week somewhere and prepping for a major launch? Like, is it the same type or any kind of symmetrical stress or anything?
Not really in the preparation part, but I think I think fashion and fragrance. There's a definite connection there. It was a seamless move from fashion over to fragrance. I think fragrance is part of your fashion. Fragrance
Mhm.
is part of your whole kind of your wardrobe, your fragrance wardrobe. You have your clothing wardrobe. Everything all works together. There's a marriage between that. In the clothes you wear, your fragrance can dress you up and dress you down, and you can be casual, and you can wear a fragrance that's more elevated. So there's a huge connection between. That's why most fashion brands have fragrances because it kind of ties in the whole story of someone's wardrobe. So there was a big connection in that. So it was a seamless move for me to go from fashion over to fragrance.
So what's next? Outside of, a couple launches a year, like what's next? What does the next 5 years look like? Are we branching out into anything? Is there any new, like you have a checklist,
Yeah.
Chris has done that. You showed up here
hmm
and he kicked that out. Like what's
hmm
next?
Well, I always have a bunch of crazy ideas in my head. That's what keeps me up at night all the time. But it's just like the creative juices just continuously flow. Of course, creating more incredible fragrances and master that lane. But I would love to kind of enter into the body space. Um,
Ah, okay.
like more kind of oils and body creams. Um, I would love to actually dabble in the home space as well, the atmospheric sense. Um, and yeah, like in a perfect world, I would like have my own boutique hotel where I have candles and the scents in the hotel, and also selling body and fragrance in the space. So even before fragrances, I always wanted my own boutique hotels because I'm a boutique hotel lover. Make it intimate, make it kind of feel like my world, and then have it all scented and have people come and invite them into that. So
Into the
you
Well,
world.
know,
it's going to be officially sold out the minute you say you're opening. Like it's going to be at capacity for a very long time. So let us know
yes,
when that.
I will definitely let you know when the boutique hotel is opening, and it'll be a whole fragrance experience. And we'll see. Dream big, right?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, just hand it here. Just give it here. Just if you've got it, they want it. Lather me down,
Awesome.
and they're ready for it.
That's
And
amazing.
I guess they're going to be staying there, 3 weeks after me.
Okay. Okay.
You know, so when we talk about that vision
Hmm.
and what comes next,
Yeah.
kind of what sparks the fire. You told me it's what keeps you up at night, but what
Yeah.
sparks the fire to actually start the ember that turns it into a reality? You said
I,
just start.
I guess it's the unknown, right? It's like there's so many possibilities and the opportunities are there. Sky's the limit. You want to keep your excitement to like do new things kind of tamed a little bit. But when I say I can't sleep, I guess part of it could be a little bit of stress because there's a business that has to be run, but it's mostly excitement. I'm excited about like what to do next, like what can I bring to the world from my perspective that could be the next thing, and the next incredible fragrance. So I'm just always excited about the opportunity and possibilities, and that's where my mind is running. Like, what am I going to do next? Like, what's my next fragrance? Like, who's the next perfumer that I'm going to work with, and what's going to be, that there's like different levels of creating a fragrance, and like the creative part is the most exciting part. And then after you launch a fragrance, now you got to go sell it. Now you got to, it's the business, right? And that's the harsh reality of it. Um, but that's what keeps me up at night, that excitement of like what's next. So as long as I keep that excitement, then those embers are always going to be burning because I got this fire in my belly just to keep going. And it took me, you know I had a very incredible modeling career, very successful, but I have to be honest that it didn't um, the fire in my belly was not burning from that. It
Mhm.
was an incredible experience because I knew there was something else. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I didn't know what it was until I started to, when I met Killian and I started to like move and kind of exist in that world. And then I said, this is it. And now that fire has been in my belly for the last 10 years and it's still burning. So I say to people all the time, there's things that you are really good at, and there's things that has a burning feeling in your stomach that you should be doing. And in a perfect world, those two things are the same thing. So if you're good at it and you're passionate about it, go for it. And I think that's what kind of keeps me up because I'm very passionate about fragrance.
We've heard
So
from so
people want to
many.
know.
Go ahead.
People want to know. Do you know that you are him? Like, has it made it to you? Like, when you walk down the street, do you know that you're him for so many people? And if so, like, what is the weight of that? What does that do for
Mm.
you? And how do you, and the third part of that question, which is what poured in time after time, is how do you balance the personal
Mhm.
and the work and the love, and how do you do it all
So
being him?
last week I was walking down the street and I was on the phone with someone, and this woman just like, I could tell that I could feel her energy coming towards me. And her exact question was, are you him? And I said, him who? And she says, are you Chris Collins? And I said, yeah. She's like, oh my gosh. She starts shaking. And I'm like, do I have that effect on people? Like, I honestly, I mean, I probably think I'm bullshitting, but I don't know what effect that I have on people because I was always raised to stay humble, and kind of, appreciate, whatever comes my way. And if I have that effect on people, then, I appreciate it. And I sat and I talked to her. She was like in awe that I was sitting and talking to her. I was like, I'm just walking down the street. I'm going to get Starbucks. You want to come? So then we just started talking, and she was like, I love your fragrances. And the fact that I get to touch people like that is just, I cannot describe the feeling anymore. And another funny scenario or story is I'll be on a call with like my team, and everyone is talking about Chris Collins and his position and this, And sometimes I got to be like, well, who's this guy, Chris Collins, you're talking about? Sometimes I forget that I am the subject of the conversation because I am talking to my team. I'm with my team. I don't feel like they work for me. I feel like we're working together. So these are moments where I'm like, I'm so humbled and I'm so appreciative. I wish I could touch and speak to every single person, but that's not realistic. I probably can't. So I use my fragrances to touch people, to talk to people. So I know that I'm him. I mean, sometimes it's hard, and I think as not just me, I think we all need to like, and this is something that's very difficult for me to do, is to like, in the midst of creating, in the midst of running a business, to just stop sometime and say, you know what, Chris, you're doing a good job.
Enjoy it.
And, you're always chasing the next, level of what you need to do and like, revenue and this, that, and the third. And I think we all need to just pause for a second and just say, you know what, Jess, you know what, Justin, you know what, then, we're all doing a good job, and sometimes I have to do that. I have to pause and not just kind of just like keep going because, it's all an accomplishment no matter what we're doing.
Now that was real nice and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But Dwayne wants us to know that your close friends, of course because your close friends call you Soup.
Yo,
wait,
yeah.
I'm gonna stop and say, I'm assuming that's for Superman.
Supermodel.
So okay, well, the reason I said Superman is because one of my friends saw that we were doing this interview.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, is that Superman or is that the Blair Underwood of fragrance? And what day is this interview?
Ooh, Blair Underwood. See, that is Black excellence.
Okay, so I'm just saying. So, don't get it twisted. They like, okay, that's real nice that you said all that. But all the ladies like, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. That's
I
what they want you
appreciate
to know.
that.
If you don't know, I'm going to tell you.
Yes. Keep reminding me when you see me out there.
Don't worry, we will.
Thank you.
How do you balance the personal and the business?
It's tough. It's funny because when I first met Killian, he was the first thing he asked me was, are you married? Are you in a relationship? And I said, at the time, I wasn't. And he was like, good, because this business will ruin your personal life. It takes a lot. Like when you are running a business like this, it's like, it's a lot. Trust me. So you have to balance it. I travel a lot. I take time off from the business, which actually helps me create. So I don't I work really, really hard. I'm up really early. I go to bed late. This is like every day for me. But I also have to take time for my personal life because the more I'm recharged personally, the better I can do creatively. So it has to be a balance because if one is doing more than the other thing is going to suffer. So trying to find that balance. Yeah.
Any like hobbies or other outlets? And I asked, because we done met carpenters,
Mm-hmm.
we done met chefs, we done met farmers,
Mm-hmm.
we done met the woodworkers, just everybody. And it's always interesting because they have all these hobbies that are actually very creative as well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when most people see me out, I'm like dressed up and, more elegant because, that's my vibe of the brand. But there's also other sides to me. Like I'm a sports loving, I'm a sports addict. I love like going hanging out with my friends and having a beer, riding my motorcycles. I'm like a down to earth guy, and I guess if you like knew me before fragrance, which I'm sure Dwayne probably knows, of me or with me when I was like before fragrance, I'm just a regular guy that just loves fragrance. I was a fragrance enthusiast, obsessed with fragrance. I just happened to just be crazy enough to launch a brand. So we're all the same. We're all obsessed with it. So yeah, I do have like other hobbies outside of fragrance for sure.
So, all right, Chris.
I still gotta ask because I'm a Philadelphian. So what's your favorite team?
I was gonna say the season's coming up, and this question is gonna make or break this conversation. Who's your team?
Football coming up.
Who's your
I'm,
team?
I'm a Giants. Listen. I'm old enough to be around when we won the Super Bowl in 86, 93. And what was the year we beat the Patriots? Was that
Wait,
2012?
no, it was because it was 2 times. So was it 08 and 12? Was it?
I was gonna say it's 08 somewhere
Oh
around
wait,
that
yeah.
time.
So yeah, I mean, I'm a Giants fan. You know, I'm New York Giants all the way. I love the Knicks, the Nets, all the New York teams, the Rangers, every New York team. I love them.
Well, I appreciate anybody that supports the home team. So I only hate you twice a year.
Yes, because you're an Eagles fan, so you know that's a huge rivalry. But congratulations to the Eagles.
Thank
No
you.
hate there. I was actually really happy for Saquon because the Giants did him dirty.
Yes, they
So
did.
they did him dirty. So I was happy for him when he won with the Eagles. I was actually rooting for him, which a Giants fan never roots for the Eagles, as you know, and vice versa. But I was rooting for
Oh no,
Saquon.
we rooted for you twice to beat the Patriots.
Okay, that's it.
Both times.
That's it. That's it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Well, Danielle can attest because since Jess is a Packers fan, I therefore am also a Packers fan. But I said, you know what? Honestly, I really don't care who wins the Super Bowl, but
Mhm.
Saquon needs a ring. So they can all go home, just give that man the ring,
That's
and
right.
we can be done.
That's right. Good for him, and good for him. And bad on the
So
Giants.
see, now so somebody asked about if there was anybody that you could curate a fragrance for. You need to go curate a fragrance for him.
I would love to. Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually come to me and ask me to create something for them. Most recently, I had a chance to meet Nia Long, and she was incredible. And she was
Can
Oh,
telling
you
me how
curate
much
that?
she
Because I will wear that. Because
yeah.
in my mind, I want to be near long. So you could do that.
Okay. Well, you are. Listen. I think when we wear fragrances, we are who we want to be, right? It's like this whole world of fantasy. And we met, and she was telling me how much she loved fragrance. And first, she said, "I would love my own fragrance brand." And I said, "Well, I don't know if having a fragrance brand is it, but I get what you're saying." I said, "But I can create something for you really nice." And Long Kiss Goodnight is her favorite fragrance of mine. So I told her that I would create something in that universe for her. So we'll see.
Yeah, get that together.
Get it together. I know.
Get that
That's
together.
what my boys keep telling me too. Get it together, Chris. Get it together.
Yeah, she is kind of single.
Yeah.
You just saying.
Mm, yeah.
Now, will that be an exclusive, and then maybe the rest of us can try it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it will be like her. It will be her story. I would just help curate it. So, you know, I would take her to Paris, and let her kind of sit down with the perfumer, and then we could kind of go together. And I think that's a very nice place to start. Like, what do you like? What do you want it to feel like? What story do you want to tell? Do you want to tell a story about you growing up? Do you want to tell a story about heartache or heartbreak, or do you want to tell a story about whatever it is? And then I can take that and then take what kind of style fragrances she likes and create something beautiful for her. So I have a lot of people that actually reach out to me to do something like that. And yeah, that would be kind of cool to do some collaborations like that in the future.
Do you have a dream, like a dream person that you would want to create? I speak English. That you would want to curate one of those fragrances for.
So
Like
many,
put it out in the universe.
so many people. Like I use certain people as my muses. Like I would love to create something for SZA. I think there's something so beautiful and erotic about her. I would create something incredibly seductive and beautiful for SZA. Um,
Well, she right there from New Jersey. So do you think
yeah,
that?
if I can get her, I'll create something for her, something nice for her. But I use like beauty as muse when I create fragrance. So whenever I see SZA, I'm like, I want to create something great for her. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be very cool. That's another one I would wear.
Okay, okay,
Then you make it feel real young, and I act like my hip don't hurt.
okay. I'll do that. I
it'd
can
be
do
baby
that.
anchor number 2.
Yes, yes. Baby maker. I'm going to use that Lust and Kingmaker label as baby maker. I'm going to use that for sure.
I'm looking to see, does anybody else have any other questions? Just did you have any other on your list?
The only other one is the one that we typically ask everybody because, not that you're not relatable enough, but everybody likes to know what was one of the biggest challenges or something. We've talked to so many brands and so many perfumers, and they've told us all sorts of stories, whether it be production issues or getting glass and it come in broken or not making a launch on time. But if you could remember, whether it was earlier on or even recent, what was one of the biggest challenges that you had with the brand, and how did you overcome it, and as a way to possibly inspire someone else that might be down and how they can come out of it. That.
Well, I got to tell you, no matter how small or how big the brand is, we all have the same issues. I've talked to, people who run brands at Dior and Chanel, and I've talked to some other niche brands because I'm on the board of the Fragrance Foundation. And I also head a group called the Entrepreneur Committee. And on this committee, it was like the House of Bo, like House of Arquise, like Brown Girl Jane. Like we all kind of like sit and we talk about like what are our challenges, what are our pain points, how can we help each other, logistics and production and manufacturing and tariffs and you know investment, just funding for the business. Like these are all like real challenges that never stop. It doesn't matter, even people who have investment, these challenges still exist. They don't go away. They just actually exacerbate. They get more intense. So um, every single day is so different. Like there are days that I wake up and like everything makes sense, and you know the launch is on time, and we got the caps in on time, and everything is like working. And then there are other days that I wake up and was like, "What the hell am I doing?" You know, this is everything is going wrong. The shipment is late. The launch is late. The juice, was blended, but it doesn't smell right. Like there's like so many challenges that people don't see behind the scenes, and they are constant. But that's part of the journey. The part of the journey is figuring it all out and surviving. Brands on a smaller level every day is survival, and that's as real as it gets. People would say to me, "Well, Chris, I see you in Bloomingdale's, I see you in Bergdorf Goodman, I see you in Perfumology. You're doing it. You must be like really successful." And then if I let them into like the back end of it, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm so blessed, and things are working, but there's a lot of other difficulties that come with working with like big retailers, like chargebacks and fees and this and that. So there are some serious challenges. That's why when I talked to Neil Long, I said, I don't know I don't know if you wanting your own brand, and I get it. It's exciting. It's like I want my own. Like I love fragrance because that's what happened to me. Like I love fragrance. I want my own brand, uh, but it's a challenge. I don't want to say that it's hard because I don't think anything is hard. I think it's just not easy, and it's a big challenge that like the House of Bo. Those are really good friends of mine, and we like always talk to each other about things that we're going through, and from the outside looking at each other, we're like, oh, you must be doing really great. And like things are working like this. And then we all have the same things or different challenges. And so I just want to say it's all of it is true. All the challenges are true. But for me, that's still part of the actual journey to kind of get to whatever the finish line is, to get to the next milestone. It's to kind of problem solve, put the pieces together and figure it out. Because every single day I'm putting out fires. Every single day there is something that is not working. Like someone at Bergdorf Goodman is not happy because they're not getting enough hours, or my caps are lost somewhere in the middle of the ocean and they were supposed to be here last week. Like, things they just are happening. But to be able to be in this position, to be able to create and produce something for people and make them happy, or make them feel beautiful. That's the whole point of getting through all of that. So the challenges exist, and they're heavy, and they're there. I'm sure, like for all of us, there's challenges. I'm sure for Near, there's challenges, but kind of figuring that all out is part of the process. So yeah, I guess that's the best advice I can give about that.
So, what can we help do to help you to continue to promote and expand your brand?
You know, that's a difficult question to answer because I think everyone is just doing their part already. Just for having me here, and just for having the people that are here that are interested in my fragrance. Like, I keep going back to that day one when I got my first purchase. Like, every single time someone buys a fragrance from me, it's an incredible feeling. So, just keep supporting the business. Um, be there and kind of know when my next launches are coming out, and tell a friend how great the fragrances are, because I really do believe I'm willing to kind of you know I'll sit my fragrances next to anyone. I think as far as fragrance is concerned, I don't think that anyone is either superior than my fragrances. I believe in my creations. I believe in my stories. So yeah, just keep supporting the business and yelling from the mountaintop how good the fragrances are, and just do and be who you are, because I think that's enough at the moment. And yeah, that's it.
So, how do we continue to find out when the launches are, other than the fact that we'll know and we'll tell them?
Yeah, you should go to my website and sign up for my little newsletter, because I'm always letting you know when there's new launches coming. Doing like great promotions on some new things that are coming out. Um, I usually launch twice a year, like Valentine's Day and during the holidays. So keep an eye out for it. Again, unless there's something special that I do in the middle of the year, like special edition or collaboration or something like that. So yeah, just the support has been incredible. I mean, for people to like stop me in the
What
street,
happened? There it goes.
and the comments that they leave about the fragrances, and how they just fall in love with them, and kind of thanking me for the creations. I mean, it's all wonderful, and I could never get enough of it, and I'm extremely humbled by it and appreciative of it. So just keep it coming.
And we will definitely post all of the information to your website, Instagram, all that stuff. Make sure all of our members and everybody out there that we can get it to, because yeah, obviously, we the three of us want to see what's coming down the pipeline too. I mean, we're just as excited as they are.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And also, the shipment that I sent you, you have samples of all the fragrances, so you'll be able to sample them. And I also sent over some travel sizes, so you could share them with your community. And I have 4 full-size bottles. I think I have a bottle of Lost in Paradise, Savant, African Rooibos, and Lust. And these 4 bottles I signed. So these
Oh,
are
Thank
Fabulous.
you.
The generosity. Thank you.
course.
Thank
You just
you.
made
Yeah.
4 random people very, very happy.
So let me tell you how that works. So what goes on is I review this entire interview
Yeah.
for edits and cuts and those things. And
Mhm.
during that time, I pick out some, 5 random questions that were asked of you. And this is because we had quite a few, a good presence on YouTube today too. So many of them will not know this process.
Mhm.
So I will review that. We will then post some questions. You get to answer the questions. If you answer correctly, for every answer you get to go on the wheel, and we spin it. We usually take up to about 10 days to get it done, especially in all the traveling. And then we send, announce the winners is always live. And then they will get their bottles and their choices and all those kind of things. So it gets to be very fun, especially I'm the one that collects the answers, and it's hilarious. The answers are hilarious. Okay.
Also, they would have had to have watched the interview, and then you'll ask some questions about the interview.
Which they can watch the replay, so it gives
Yes, they don't
everybody a
have
chance Because they're believe me, I can tell you, they're not taking notes. Some of them are taking notes, but some of
Some
them
of them
are
are
just
taking very detailed notes.
some of them are just enthralled and
Some are gonna be like, at
and they're gonna go
1
back
minute
and
and
replay.
14 seconds, he said.
That's incredible. So yeah, I hope they enjoy the gifts. And yeah, thank you for having me because this is fun. I always love. I can't talk about my brand enough because I'm so proud of it. So whenever I get the opportunity, I'm appreciative of it. And yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, we will go on record and say we hope this is not a one and done. You are part of the Aroma Affair family. They're able to tag you when they do their sense of the day, when they get their prizes, when they smell you, when they see you, any of that, they can tag you here. But we will have you back, and we love every launch. You come back for a quick one. You just say, "Hey, this is it," and
love it.
You know,
I'm officially an olfactory outlaw. Is that it?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Well, you can be an
we'll send you a hat,
but you are a member of the Aroma Affair.
Oh, okay. So Aroma Affair and
I know you're going to get it together. It's really because they use their name for they use the olfactory outlaws because again that's the decant service and the sourcing service.
Okay.
But yes, no, you can be an outlaw. Like I mean,
you can be an outlaw too.
You sent them some.
You are Aroma Affair.
I'm an unofficial outlaw, but I'm a lawyer, so I can't say that.
Okay, I can definitely say that.
You can definitely say that. Well, you hang on. Everybody's saying goodbye to you, and we'll be back to talk to you a little bit later. But we're going to end the stream now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stick around. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.